Welcome back to another episode of Iron Talent Engineering. Today we're going to be showing you my new daily car. As some of you might have seen on Instagram, my Mark 5 Hilux unfortunately got rear-ended by some old boy while I was stationary, and he was doing 50. And because the truck was lifted, unfortunately what happened was his car essentially went underneath my truck, crushing the chassis, bending all the leaf springs, everything like that. So insurance have now finally paid out. Now, I would have loved to got another Hilux, but the problem is me and my partner are now moving further out of the city, so I needed something with more economy. So this is what I plumbed for. This is a 06 Volkswagen T5 van, and it's currently in its standard form, making it as boring as hell. This particular model is a 1.9 turbo diesel injection model, and after some research and advice by T5 owners, it was apparently the best engine to go for. It's currently on 140,000 miles with a fresh MOT and a chunky service book, having been owned and maintained by a well-known local company. I'm forever chucking shit into the back of whatever transport I have, so it's finally time to get a van. My plans aren't going to be mad with this. I've got some 20-inch steel wheels on the way to go with the coilovers I've already bought, as well as a tow bar and a double-din head unit. Now the idea with this will be to, like I say, make a rock and roll bed in the back of it, which folds up into essentially like a bulkhead. I still want to use it as a van. There will be motorbikes, there will be bits and pieces going in the back of it, go-karts, everything like that. So, and it needs to tow as well. So I've got a tow bar on the way as well. I've got coilovers on the way for it. I've got some decent 20-inch steel wheels on the way for it as well, to replace these 16-inch steel wheels. And like I say, we're going to drop it a bit, just so it's just a nice daily like my Hilux was. I want to get that roof rack off as well. When I bought it, I thought, oh, that roof rack's not too bad, it'll come in handy. But it really does look a bit like a Meccano set. So I want to get that off and potentially make like an old school roof rack on there as well. As you can see as well, plenty of room in the back, and get a good couple of motorbikes in here. We will be pulling out all of the panel boarding, sound dead, and then do sound deadening, insulation, all that kind of stuff, and then carpet it instead of all of this. Like I said before, I'll be trying to make a foldable bulkhead which goes around here as a frame, so it'll fold up in like two basically, and then it will come down and it will be a bed but I'll go across there. So when you want to use it as a van, mattress off, inside the house, garage, whatever, fold the bulkhead up so it'll be nice and flat, and use it as a van. When you want to go camping, you pull it all down, mattress on top of it, you're ready to go shagging. Need to give it a bit of a machine polish as well, because as you can see, some of the old sign writing from the company is still on the van. So I want to give it a machine polish, see if it'll buff up a little bit more. I'm not that worried about stuff like this, because at the end of the day, she's a van, and I'm not a Volkswagen boy to take it to a show and have her all pristine and all that. I'm going to be using her to lump stuff in the back of, so I'm not that worried about stuff like that. Maybe I'll get like a touch-up pen and just touch it up so it's not completely bright white to the dark blue, but we'll see how it goes. You know, joining us back at work, because I don't have a workshop no more. So over Christmas break, I've got some time to fuck about with the van. So van's in here now. So what we're gonna have to do is get it all jacked up, get it on axle stands, and start getting the suspension off for the front, get the coilovers on and the new wheels on. And we'll see how that one goes. So, I know I've got this far, we've got the wheel and we've got all jacked up on axle stands and the wheel off on both sides. So, what we now need to start doing is, stupidly, I didn't bring a work light, but what we now need to start doing is popping these out here, undoing the pinch bolts back here for the hub, because as you can see, the strut sits in the hub, and we've got to get out the top, undo the drop link as well, and it should come out. What we also need to do is to get access to the top of the strut. we need to get the wipers off, scuttle panel off, and be able to get into here and into here to get access to the top of the strut. Now, what I was going to do on this was the hub mod and other bits and pieces that Matt Chambers says about. So I've got a 57mm hole saw. So the idea would have been that I take this hub off completely, and underneath here is a tiny little lip what stops the shock from going straight through. Now what they do is they hole saw that out and then Dremel it out a bit so the shock can pass all the way through it, just a little bit more, maybe another 10-15mm on top of the drive shaft, and you get a bit more loads. The same with the top mount. You get a top mount mod as well, where you turn that all down. Now, I think it would have been fine if I was using 18s, 19s. 18s would have been the way to go to do it, but these are 20s. So I don't think I'm going to need it. I don't think I'm going to need that, them kind of mods. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the shocks out, put the coilovers in, so they're on the lip and everything like that, not do anything like that, and see how it sits. If it doesn't sit as low as I want it to, or it can't be adjusted to as low as I want it to, then I'll do the top mount and the hub mods. Oh, so we got all the top bit off. All the scuttle panel was only held in by little clips. Got the rubber off of here. We had to get this bracket out of here, which was just metal, but it was held in by 2 T30 bolts. So we got that out, and that's just so you can get access to, you can see it here, that's the top of the strut. Right, so it's just so you can get access to it without taking like the wiper arms out. This one over here didn't need the panel taken out from what I can see so far. You can get to it quite easily. So what we've now got to do is get down here. You cannot see shit because I didn't bring a work light, but you need to get that, we've got to get down here, start taking all the bits off of here, off the bottom, and then once they're all off, we'll take the tops off. Right, now that took longer than expected, but we have the hub off, the strut off, and everything in there is all clear. Now, I'm used to working on Japanese cars, so being this involved to get a fucking strut off is not normally a thing, right? The fact the entire hub had to come off, everything had to come out of it, is just insane, right? So we had to take the drive shaft out. Right, drive shaft had to come out. We had to undo the bottom ball joint. We have to loosen off the 2 bolts at the bottom of this wishbone so it actually had enough room to pivot without destroying the rubbers. We had to take a track rod end out. We had to take the under tray out so that we could get to the bolt there just to undo the lower arm. Well, now, what we've got to do is I'm still weighing it up because that was such an arsehole to get to. I'm still weighing up whether or not just to do the hub mod, because that's that little lip I was talking about right there. So you can see it here, right? That's all it is. Just that little bit down there. So I'm debating just getting rid of that anyway, so that I don't have to do this again, right? So what we now need to do is take this strut and we need to take all this top mount off because they've got to go on the coilovers, right? So we've got to basically just impact it off and hope it doesn't fly across the workshop. But then we can start putting everything back together. But then we've got the joy of doing the other side and the rears. So let's see how long that's going to take us. Right, so these are the new front coilovers that we got. As you just saw, we got the top mount off. So what we just want to do is re-grease the bearing, put all the balls back in, all that kind of stuff, and then put the top mount back on. Now the other mod I was going to do is what they do with these top mounts is where they turn them down so that they can fit inside of that. All right, so normally you turn all of this down, all with the big dividers in it, right down so that that sits inside it rather than on top of it. But like I said, the fact I'm putting 20s on there, I just don't think I'm going to need it. So what I've done is, instead of wiring the coilovers all the way down to as low as they'll go, so I'll put both of them on as low as they'll go, and obviously if it's not enough, then we've got to take it off and do these mods. If it is though, then it's too much, then I can just wind it up and happy days. So now we're going to put the top mounts back on this coilover and then start refitting everything back in there. Right, so we've got the top mount back on, and as you can see how much shorter that shock is to the factory strut. So what we're going to do now is we're going to feed the factory strut back into the hub back into there, and then we're going to try and get the nut on the top of here, just so it's held in place, and then we can start connecting everything up to this side, and then we can do the other side. Everything's back in on the driver's side now. So calipers back on, drive shaft's now back on, shocks all in. The only thing that isn't in is the drop link, but I'm going to leave that off because we've got to take the other drop link off anyway, and then we can like rotate the bar and get it in there a bit easier. track rod ends back in, bottom ball joints in, they're all done up, everything's done up, ready to go. Other thing that I'm missing is obviously the splash plate on the bottom, but I've got to do the other side, so I'm leaving that as well. ABS sensors plugged back in, everything's ready to go. So from looking at it, it does look like it's pulled the hub up a bit more, but obviously until we get the wheel on and it down on the floor, we ain't gonna know. But the spring is at the bottom of where it can go, so if it ain't low enough, we're gonna have to take it all apart again. We're gonna have to do the hub mod, we're gonna have to do the top mount mod, and we'll do it like that. But it's not the end of the world. I know it all comes apart. Everything came apart quite easily. I say quite easily, all right, touch wood, because I've got to do this side. So hopefully if I need to do it again, I can do it again. So we're now gonna start work on this side, but I'm fucking hungry, so I'm gonna go get some lunch.
A few moments later.
Both sides are now completely done on the front, so coilovers are in, as you can just barely see with the purple there. Everything's now all done up, brakes are all now back on, drive shaft's now done up, everything like that. So now what we're going to do, all the fucking scuttle panel and everything like that is back on as well, everything's all back in there. So now what we're going to do is see if these bad boys actually fit. 20 by 9s. Let's get disappointed, shall we? So that's what we've got for the front. I'm quite happy with that at the minute, to be fair. It's not stupidly low, but it is low enough for me at the minute. Looks quite nice, to be fair. So what we've now got to do is just tighten the wheels up, slap on the centre caps, and then reverse out and reverse in, and we can do the rears. So I got a little ahead of myself here. So this is the standard spring that came out. This is the standard shock that came out. Now, I've already got it all out and got the new ones in. So this is the Stance Plus coil and this is the spring. Now we've still got the adjuster in it, as you can see, and the top mount is the same as the one that came out, so we used the old one again. We'll see how it sits for now, but basically what you had to do was, problem is I couldn't find a axle stand point for this, so I was putting it on the corner of the arm over there where it mounts to the chassis, so that was fine. But the arm needs to pivot down when you take this shock off so you can get the spring out, so that weren't going to work. So the idea is, like on the other side you can see over there, just that's holding that arm up on that side, but when you come around to actually doing whatever side you're doing, get the jack back on the jacking point, and so it takes the pressure off the axle stand whilst holding onto that arm. Then you can get this out. You've got one bolt down here, and then you've got one up here, which is just going straight through there. It doesn't go inside the cab, it's just straight through there. And it's normally enclosed and clean and everything like that anyway, so you can just get it out. The spring, you have to pull the arm down quite a bit more, and the spring will just tumble out. And then when you put the new one in, bolt the shock up here first, and then put the spring in loosely, lever that up with your arm, and you're able to then put that on there, and that should be enough to enclose the spring to stop it falling out until you put the full weight of the vehicle back on the floor. So now let's get along with the other one.
A few moments later.
So this is how we've got it to sit so far. It's not too extreme, to be fair. It's quite comfortable, if I'm honest with you. It's wound down as low as it'll go on the actual coilovers without doing the hub mods, the top mount mods, all that kind of stuff, or without doing the rear spring adjustment either. They're all maxed out as low as they'll go. So this is basically how we're going to sit at the minute. Also, because we're in the middle of moving house, I didn't really want to ground it out completely, because a lot of shit will be getting chucked in the back. It will be coming down a bit more in the future, but we're waiting until we're in the new house for that, because I need to actually use it as a van and I cannot have it scrubbing everywhere I go. I'm still not 100% sold on the van, if I'm honest with you. I am still Japanese boy at heart. I would really love a Toyota Hiace or something like that, but I'm not prepared to pay the money that people want for a Toyota Hiace anymore, and I got this for a really good price, so I'm quite happy to use it as is for now, but I am missing my Hilux. So yeah, we will be doing some more bits and pieces to this, but hopefully we'll be back to doing our usual stuff with go-karts, Japanese cars and all that kind of stuff as soon as we move into the new property. So that's basically it for this episode of Iron Talons Engineering. Cheers for watching, guys, and please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope you've had a good New Year and a good Christmas, and we'll see you again soon.